Hey there, friends. This is SB Roz. I am a coach and a messy whole human, and the writer of Death and Stuff and SB's Chip Plaster here on Substack. And in fact, it's something that I wrote in Monday's Chipped Plaster that I wanted to touch in a little more deeply in this video, and it starts with values. I know that's a loaded word, especially for anybody with like some form of religious trauma, which of course a lot of people have. Um, But when I say values, what I really mean is how you feel best showing up in your own life. And so I'm really a proponent of doing a deep values dive and getting to the language that works for each of us quite specifically so that we can align with ourselves in that way and so we can hear our own wise advice. For example, I check in with my values when I'm in interpersonal conflict, when I'm navigating a difficult decision, when life just feels kind of tough and I'm not sure, feeling great about how I'm showing up, right? I can turn to my values and say, okay, what do they say about how to be in this moment? And my values always have an answer for me. In fact, if your values don't have an answer for you, then probably there's another deep dive to do, a deeper dive to do into your values to make sure that you're representing yourself well. As such, I'm also a proponent of values themes. We are incredibly complex as humans, and we also have relatively little data storage in our conscious minds. 7 items plus or minus is what a lot of research says. And if we want to use our values as guideposts, it's really helpful if we can hold them in our conscious minds or bring them to conscious mind. And so that requires thematic groups to capture our wholeness, our whole complexity. I have mine distilled into 4 categories. There's nothing magical about it. It's just where I landed after working on it. If you'd like some tips and guidance, send me a note. I'm happy to send you my values activity. One of the things I mentioned in Monday's Chipped Plaster, though, was that I recently renamed one of my values, the one that is about being a positive part of the world to the best of my ability. I renamed it Do What's Mine. This is about 2 things. Do What's Mine is about not shying away from opportunities to make a positive impact, even if that impact is really small. For example, I make it damn near a hobby to compliment people out in public and to connect with them, because to me that's a tiny little piece of defiance of the narrative that we are unable to connect and we're all fighting with each other and everything is all divisive and terrible. It's not my lived experience. I'm going out in the world and having wonderful exchanges with all sorts of different kinds of people every time I go out in the world. So that's a little thing for me. That's part of doing what's mine. It also includes some bigger stuff, right? But doing what's mine also includes not trying to do what's not mine. So I'm going to give you an example. A few years ago, I trained to become a volunteer for the Trevor Project. The Trevor Project is an awesome, awesome organization. Highly encourage you to check it out, make a donation if you can, volunteer if you can. They have chats and a hotline, like a phone number for LGBTQIA plus youth who are experiencing hardships and particularly suicidal ideation. They are doing amazing work. They are literally saving lives. And at some point I was like, okay, I can do this. I coach for a living. I talk to people for a living. I can be helpful. I can do this. And I did the training and I got through it and I did my first however many shifts and I melted. It was so painful. It was so painful to feel like I should be able to do this thing and I was not doing it. Or I was doing it, but not in a way that was sustainable for me. And after much agonizing and consulting with the people that I consult with, I let it go. And I'm so grateful to know there's so many volunteers out there who are able to navigate that space, because the kids need us. Rather than bullying myself into doing something that isn't mine, I had to let it go. And I encourage you to explore the same. What's yours? Where are you uniquely suited? Where can you put your best into the world in a way that is sustainable, that you can do, that perhaps even energizing, that you can restore from relatively quickly, right? And where can't you go? And can you be gentle with yourself around that too? So I'd love to hear your thoughts on all of that. Have you done a values deep dive? What inspires you? What do you turn toward? And how do you think about doing what's yours? I look forward to your thoughts in the comments.